We move to the class proper. We are looking at bond valuation. What is bond? How do we value bond? Why is it important for us to understand the valuation of bond? What are the terms and terminologies associated with bond analysis? These are some of the things we shall be looking at on this class tonight. Bond can be defined. A bond is a debt instrument that requires the issuer, that is the borrower, to repay the amounts borrowed plus the interest elements over a specified period of time to the lender. We can take that again. A bond is a debt instrument that requires the issuer. The issuer is the borrower, to repay the lender. The lender is the investor. The amount borrowed plus the interest over a specified period. A bond is a legal document that establishes relationship between the borrower and the lender. A bond is a legal instrument that establishes relationship between the borrower and the lender. The borrower is the issuer of the bond. The lender is the investor. Let us illustrate this briefly. If Dangote is planning to source finance, Dangote as a company, or we can look at Promasido. Promasido as a company is trying to source finance. The company can decide to issue bond with a view to sourcing finance. The company, Promasido, can decide to issue bond with a view to sourcing the needed finance. If the company decided to issue bond, then the company becomes the issuer. The issuer is the borrower. This bond will now be issued. Investing public can subscribe. I can subscribe for the bond. You can subscribe for the bond. The subscribers are the investors. They are providing the money required for the company. So there are two parties to the bond. We have the issuer, that is the borrower. Then the second party is the investors. The investors is what we call the lender. From the perspective of the issuer, that is the borrower, from the perspective of the issuer, that is the borrower, a bond is a liability, and the interest payable on bond is an expense. Please listen to that. From the perspective of the borrower, The borrower is the company now. That is the issuer. A bond is a liability. The interest payable on bond is an expense. All right. Excuse me, please. From the perspective of the investor, that is the lender, a bond is an asset. And the interest receivable is an income. Please note the distinction. If you are explaining bond, you might need to tell us the perspective at which you are coming from. All right? Terms associated with bond analysis. 1, face value. The face value is the amount stated on the face of a bond instrument. That is the amount written on the face of a bond instrument. Usually, the face value is either 100 naira or 1,000 naira. The face value is either 100 naira, either 100 or 1,000. Please note, the face value is standard. It is either bond is stated as 100 naira face value or 1,000 naira face value. Also note, the face value is also called the nominal value. Also note, the face value is also called the nominal value. All right. Now, please note, where the question is silent about the face value, where the question is silent about the face value, you are at liberty to assume either 100 or 1,000. All right. Number 2, coupon rates. The coupon rates is the amount or is the stated annual interest on the bond. That is the interest rate stated on the bond instrument. It is usually stated in percentage. The coupon rate is usually stated in percentage. That is the annual interest rate stated on the face of a bond. Now, this interest rate could be fixed. Fixed rate bond. The interest rate could be fixed. When we say fixed rate, that means the annual interest payable, the annual interest rate payable is fixed throughout the maturity. You can have 10%, 7%, and what have you. That means the interest will not change. You can also have floating rate bond. Floating rate bond is the bond which interest rate fluctuates with changes in the general level of interest rates. Floating rate bond. These are bonds with variable interest rates or floating interest rates. The interest rate will fluctuate annually with changes in the general level of interest rates in the market. That means if you are dealing with floating rate bond, we are not sure what the interest rate will be in year 1, year 2, year 3, until maturity. The rate will fluctuate in line with the market interest rate. Market interest rate is determined by the central bank of a country. So you can have floating rate bond. Then we have what we call zero coupon bond. We have zero coupon bond. These are bonds that pay no interest, that do not pay any interest during the entire life of the bond. Although it's not very common. If you invest in such bond, you are not going to get interest annually. This bond generally mature at face value, but are issued at a discount to the face value. The issue price will be at a discount. The return on such bond is called capital appreciation. The return on such bond is called capital appreciation. Which is the difference between the face value and the issue price? All right. We have premium bond, discount bond, and par bond. What is premium bond? A bond with market value greater than its face value is called premium bond. When the market value of a bond is greater than its face value, such bond will be regarded as a premium bond. Discount bond is a bond where the market value of the bond is less than its face value. Then par bond. Par bond, these are bonds with market value equal to the face value. So please note, a bond may be issued at a premium or at a discount or at par value. Please note, A bond may be issued at a premium or at a discount or at par value. Also note, a bond may be redeemed at a discount or at a premium or at par value. These are the terms associated with bond analysis. Our next discussion is, how do we value bond? Our next discussion is, how do we value bond? The method to be used for bond valuation, or the approach to be adopted for bond valuation, will depend on the type of bond we are required to value. I'm going to take that point again. Please let this point sink. Let this point settle into our blood system. The method you are going to use to value a bond will depend on the type of bond you are required to value. If you are required to value a redeemable bond, if you are required to value a redeemable bond, we can ask ourselves, what is redeemable bond first? We can ask ourselves, what is a redeemable bond? Redeemable bonds, these are debt instruments with a specific maturity dates. Redeemable bond is a debt instrument with a specific maturity date. That means there must be a date of maturity. There must be a date, a specific date the bond will be redeemed. To value redeemable bond, this is calculated as the present value of the expected future cash flows The value of a redeemable bond is calculated as the present value of the expected future cash flow associated with such bond. The expected future cash flows are: 1, annual coupon interest from year 1 to maturity. You are going to determine the annual interest from year 1 to maturity. 2, redemption value of the bond at maturity. Number 2, redemption value of the bond at maturity. Where the question is silent about the redemption value, where the question is silent about the redemption value of the bond, you may assume the par value. You are going to assume that the redemption value is the par value, and the par value is the face value. Oh. Now, these cash flows will be discounted to the present value using the bond yield. These cash flows will be discounted to their present value using the bond yield. We have explained how to value redeemable bond. We have explained how to value what? Redeemable bond. In most cases, if the examiner is texting bond valuation, examiner always consider redeemable bond. Now, next. We have looked at redeemable bond. Number 2, irredeemable bond. Irredeemable bond. What is an irredeemable bond? This is a debt instrument without a specific maturity date. The bond does not have a maturity date. The principal amount will not be repaid. Interest will be paid on the bond annually from year 1 to maturity, but there is no date of redemption. So how do we value an irredeemable bond? Please, you are going to note this. Although it is not frequently texted, if you are to calculate the value of an irredeemable bond, this is calculated as annual interest divided by the bond yield. This is calculated as the annual interest divided by the bond yield. Next, if you are required to value zero coupon bond, the market value of a zero coupon bond is simply the present value of the bond par value. the present value of the bond face value. This is calculated as face value divided by, open a bracket, 1 plus y raised to power n, where your P is the market price of a zero coupon bond. Your F is the face value of the bond. Of course, the face value will be 100 naira or 1,000 naira. Then your Y is the yield to maturity. Small letter n is the maturity of the bond, number of years, or life of the bond in years. So please follow the sequence. We have explained redeemable bond. We have explained irredeemable bond. We have explained zero coupon bond. Our next explanation is convertible bond. Also, this is also frequently texted. Convertible bonds are debt instruments that give the holders, the bond holders, that give the bondholder the rights, but not the obligation to convert the debt to ordinary shares, equity shares. Convertible bond, these are debt instruments that allows the bondholders the rights, but not the obligation to convert the debt to equity shares within a specified period of time. Once the right is exercised, the debt will be converted to ordinary shares. And the company will not repay the debt again. The company will not repay the principal amount again. The debt holders now become part of the shareholder in the company. That is convertible debt. The question is, how do we have explained convertible bond? The question is, how do we value convertible bond? There are two alternatives. There are two alternatives or two options that can be used to value convertible bond. That means there are two methods of valuing convertible bond. Alternative one is what we call valuation as a straight debt. You can value a convertible bond as a straight debt. This valuation assumes that the debt will not be converted to ordinary shares. This valuation assumes that the debt will not be converted to ordinary shares. In this case, we are going to calculate value of convertible debt as the present value of the future cash flows associated with the convertible bond. Present value of future cash flows associated with the convertible bond. These cash flows will be discounted using required return on ordinary debt of the same risk class. Using required return on ordinary debt of the same risk class. In most cases, examiner will provide this for you in the exam. Alternative 2 is what we call the conversion value. Alternative 2 is what we call the conversion value. This is the value. This alternative assumes that the debt with the bond will be converted to ordinary shares. This alternative assumes that the bond will be converted to ordinary shares. And the value of the ordinary shares will be calculated. The value of the ordinary shares will be calculated with the formula below. Look at it, please. Conversion value in year N is equal to PO bracket 1 plus G raised to power N multiplied by capital letter R. Our CV is the conversion value. The PO is the current share price. G is the annual growth rate in share price. N, small letter n, number of years the holder can exercise the right of conversion. On capital letter R is the conversion ratio. Our conversion ratio is number of ordinary shares a bond can be converted to. Our conversion ratio is the number of ordinary shares a bond can be converted to. Now, please note, if you are required to value convertible bond and you are giving sufficient information, you are going to use the two methods. I'll take that again. If you are required to value convertible bond and you have sufficient data in your question, you are going to use the two alternatives. You are going to determine the value as a straight debt. You are also going to calculate the conversion value. You now compare the two values. whichever one that is higher will represent the value of the convertible bond. Whichever one that is higher represents the value of the convertible bond. Any question, please? Our next discussion is yield measures. Yield measures. When we say yield, a bond yield is simply the return on the bond. That is the yield. That is the return on the bond. If you are talking of shares, then we'll talk about dividends. If you are talking about bond, then you are going to look at the yield. The bond yield is the return from bond investment. And there are three types of yield. There are three types of bond yield. One, nominal yield. Nominal yield. This is the annual coupon rate.
Sorry, sir, please, can you come again with yield measures?
Okay, we say yield measures. I said yield typically means the return from bond. The yield from a bond is the return from that bond. Investors will be more interested in the yield from the bond, the return from that bond. And I explained that if you are looking at equity shares, return from equity shares is dividends. Return from bond investment is called bond yield. And I said there are three types of bond yield. One is the nominal yield. Nominal yield is the annual coupon rate of the bond. That is the annual interest rate stated on the face of a bond. Number two, we have current yield. Current yield relates annual coupon interest to the market price of a bond. Current yield relates annual coupon interest to the market price of a bond. This is calculated as annual coupon interest divided by the market price of a bond. The current yield is calculated as the annual coupon interest, that is the annual interest, divided by the market price of a bond, then multiply by 100 to convert to percentage. Note, bond yield, sorry, current yield measures current income from the bond. Current yield measures the current income from the bond. The current yield is of limited use. The current yield is of limited usage. It is only important to income-oriented investors who are interested in current cash flow from their investment portfolio. I said, or we said, the current yield is of limited use. It is only important to income-oriented investors who require current cash flow from their investment. This yield does not consider the capital gain or loss where a bond is purchased at a discount or at a premium. The current yield does not take into consideration the capital gain or loss where a bond is purchased at a discount or at a premium. Also, it does not consider the time value of money. So current yield is of limited use. Number 3, yield to maturity. Yield to maturity. This is the most widely used bond yield measure. The yield to maturity is the most widely used bond yield measure. The yield to maturity consider both the interest income, capital gain or loss, as well as the time value of money. The yield to maturity consider the time value of money. The yield to maturity is to bond what internal rate of return is to capital project. YTM is to bond what internal rate of return is to capital project. Essentially, the yield to maturity of a bond is the internal rate of return of the cash flows associated with that bond. It is calculated by trial and errors. How do we compute internal rate of return? We are going to assume two discount rates. One that will give us positive NPV, and the other must give us negative NPV. We are now going to use the result to determine the yield to maturity. Assumptions of YTM. All coupon can be reinvested at the YTM. It assumes that we can reinvest the coupon rate at the YTM. Two, the bond is held to maturity. For you to calculate it to maturity, it means that the bond will be held until maturity. Then number three, all coupons are received in prompt and timely manner. Our next discussion is duration. Our next discussion is duration. Duration is the measure of the average life of a bond. Duration is the measure of the average life of a bond. Duration measures the sensitivity of a bond bond price to change in interest rates. Duration measures the sensitivity of bond price to a change in interest rates. The higher the sensitivity, the higher the duration. Duration is the number of time. It's a measure of the number of years. Duration is a measure of the number of years it will take the investor in bond, the bond investor, to recoup the amount invested. Duration is the number of years it will take the investor in bond to recoup or recover the amount invested in bond. If you look at that, duration is like payback period. Steps involved if you are required to calculate duration. One, calculate YTM. Calculate the YTM of the bond.
Hello, sir. We can see your screen well.
Oh, you can't see my screen. Look at it. Steps involved. Can you see it now, please?
Yes, it's a half, sir. Half.
Half.
Yes, the text. It's not complete the page.
Yes, I need to reconfirm that. You can see my board half.
Now you can minimize the page. Office page. can zoom it or zoom out.
No, I'm even wondering. Are you referring to this?
Wow.
I'm not, that's not even good for students. You'll be.
So I'm using phone, that's why. It's okay, sir. It's okay. Yes, sir. It's good, sir. It's okay.
Can you see it now?
Yes, sir. Very well. Thank you.
It's very clear now.
It's very clear. Very clear.
All right, let's continue. So your step one, calculate the YTM of the bond. Your step two, use the calculated YTM to discount the cash flows from the bond to maturity. Then use the notation present value multiplied by n all over present value. When we get to calculation, we shall deal with that. Significance of bond duration. Significance of bond duration. The duration of a bond is an indication of the price sensitivity of the bond to a change in market interest rates or market yield. The duration of a bond is an indication of the price sensitivity of the bond to a change in market interest rates or market yield. This can be used, duration can be used to manage the risk, profile in a bond portfolio. Duration can be used to manage the risk profile in a bond portfolio. It can also be used to compare bonds with different coupon rates and different maturity periods. Okay. Not too important to us. Not too important. Duration is evaluated, not too important to us. Well, let's go to modified duration. Those things are not too important for our calculations. We have modified duration. This is closely related to duration. The concept of modified duration is given by, you can calculate modified duration by, to be equal to d divided by 1 plus d divided by 1 plus y. Your d is your duration. Your y is YTM. Your MD is modified duration. Modified duration is used to estimate approximate change in the price of a bond. When there is a very small change in yield, please note the yield is the interest rate. Modified duration is used to estimate approximate change in the price of a bond, assuming there's a small change in interest rate. Any question, please? Any questions, please? Okay. Before we go to any calculations tonight, I need to explain three concepts. One is credit risk, credit spread, and government spot yield curve. The yield curve. I need to explain these three concepts. The credit risk. Our credit risk. This is peculiar to corporate bond, companies bond. Credit risk is peculiar to companies bond. That is corporate bond. This is the risk that a corporate company may fail to pay the interest and the principal repayments. Credit risk is the risk that the borrower may fail to pay the amount borrowed and the principal interest and the interest elements. This is peculiar to corporate bond, that is commercial bond. Government bond is assumed to be risk-free, but corporate bond is not risk-free. Next, credit spread. This is the additional return payable to investors in corporate bond. This is the additional return payable to investors in corporate bond. To compensate them for the extra risk of a corporate bond. It is that extra return payable to investor in corporate bond okay. Then lastly, there's what we call government spot yield curve. The yield curve, government spot yield curve. Government spot yield curve is the interest rate payable on government debt instruments. The government spot yield curve is the interest rate payable on government debt instruments. This rate is usually lower, but they increase in line with the maturity period. Now, if you are required to value corporate bond, and you are giving government spot yield curve, remember, government spot yield curve can only be used to value government bond. So if you are required to value a corporate bond and you are giving government spot yield curve, this must be adjusted. This must be adjusted by the credit spread of a corporate company. This must be adjusted with the credit spread of a corporate company. It simply means that the adjustment simply means, look at this, yield on corporate bond is equal to yield on equivalent government bond plus credit risk. The yield on government bond is what we call government spot yield curve. So please note, if you are required to value corporate bond and you are giving government spot yield curve, the government spot yield curve will be adjusted. I'll link this. I'll take this at another time. Then lastly, the credit rating. Credit rating will determine companies' borrowing rates. Many large organizations are giving credit rating by the rating agency. If you look at it, many large companies, they have their credit rating. That credit rating will affect cost of borrowing. Now the question is, how do we determine what are the factors that can influence companies' credit rating? What are the factors that can affect a company credit rating? One, firm size. The firm size can affect the company's credit rating. Two, financial gearing. Financial gearing can also affect credit rating. If you look at firm size, multinational company, they enjoy a good credit rating. Number three, the risk characteristic of the industry. That is what we call industry-specific risk. We also have country-specific risk. We talk about the perceived strength of the management. That is the quality of the company's management. We have a direct impact on its credit rating. Then we talk about the standing of the company compared to others within the same industry. All right. Then we can talk about cash generating ability. We are done with the basic principle of bond valuation. We are done with the basic principle of bond valuation. Any question, please? Any question, please? All right, if there's no question, we can take like maybe 1 minute rest. Then let us address question number 1. Or let me leave question 1 for you. Let's address question 2. Let me deal with Kasauri. Let me deal with question 2. Let us move to illustration 2. We are back. Let us go to illustration 2. Please, can somebody read for the class? Let me do like this. Question 2. Any volunteer? Today is always the one in my class. Yes, any volunteer, please?
I have 5 question 2. Okay.
All right, we can hear a lady's voice.
Kazari Limited has a cash surplus of 20 million naira, which the financial manager is keen to invest in corporate bonds. He has identified 2 potential investment opportunities in 2 different companies, which are both rated A by the major credit rating agencies. Bond A. The issuer plans to raise 50 million naira 2-year bond with a coupon rate of 10%. The bond is redeemable at a premium of 8% to nominal value. Bond B.
Please note that.
Bond B. The issuer plans to raise an 800 million naira 3-year bond with a coupon rate of 12% and redeemable at par. The annual spot yield for government bond is 1 year 9.50%, 2 year.
Please just 1 minute, ma'am. Please just 1 minute. The annual spot yield curve for government bond. All right. I'm going to underline this. Now, please go ahead. 1 year, 9.5%. Next.
2 year, 10.4%. 3 year, 10.5%. Then there's an extract from a major credit rating agency website, and the table is shown below. Required.
Please, before you move ahead, table of spread in basis points. Okay. This information is important. All right.
I can go
we
to
have
required.
The table of spread.
Okay. Required. A. For a nominal value of 1,000, calculate the theoretical issue prices of the 2 bonds and indicate how many of each of the bonds Kazauri Limited can buy, assuming it invests in only one of them. Note: calculate issue prices to the nearest naira. B.
And let's stop there. Please,
okay.
let's take that first. Examiner says requirements A. For a nominal value of 1,000 naira. That means the face value of the bond is 1,000. In this case, you cannot assume. Calculate the theoretical issue price of the bond. Please note, theoretical issue price of a bond is the current market price of the bond. Examiner can ask you to calculate issue price or theoretical issue price or the market price or the market value. Examiner is referring to the same thing. I'll take that again. Theoretical issue price, market price, market value. They refer to the same thing. Of the two bonds and indicates how many of each of the bond Kazaure can buy. So that means in that requirement A, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to calculate theoretical issue price of two bonds. Now, I need to determine the market value of two bonds. If you are faced with question on bond valuation, the first thing is go and identify the type of bond you are required to value. Recall our discussion. The method to be adopted for valuing bond will depend on the type of bond you are required to value. So our first assignment is to determine the type of bond we are to value. Let's go back to the question. We have two bonds, bond A and bond B. For bond A, the issuer planned to raise 500 million. 2-year bond. That means bond A is a redeemable bond. If you look at bond B, we also have 3 years bond. That means bond B is also a redeemable bond. We have identified the type of bond we have to value. The second assignment is how do we value redeemable bond? The second question we need to answer is how do we value redeemable bond? We explained this that the value of a redeemable bond, please, we are going to try to memorize this. The value of a redeemable bond is calculated as the present value of the future cash flows associated with the bond. These cash flows will be discounted using the bond yield. We can move to the solution aspect, that is to the whiteboard. We can move to the whiteboard now. Please, just 1 minute. Let me enable the whiteboard to run. Please confirm you can see my whiteboard being shared.
No, sir.
Okay, that means you should be able to see it now.
Yes, it's on now.
We start with the first bond. Okay, we take the first bond. We have bond A. For me, I like to itemize the futures of the bond. The futures of the bond. One, maturity of this bond is 2 years. The coupon rate is 10%. The face value is 1,000. Redemption value. If you look at bond A, examiners say this bond will be redeemed at 8% premium. Redemption value is at 8% premium. So nominal value. Okay. We have brought out the futures of bond A. Next, the next thing is, which is working one. We need to determine future cash flows. Future cash flows of bond A. Future cash flows of bond A. We have annual interest. Annual interest. The annual interest is 10%. Sorry, the coupon rate is 10%. Please note, interest is calculated on nominal value. That is the face value. Please note, interest is calculated on the face value. You come here, please look at it. So I'm trying to get my 10% of 1,000 naira. That will give us 100. This is year one. Maturity is 2 years. Year two. Annual interest again. 10% of 1,000. This is also 100 naira. Year two. Then also in year two, we are going to get the redemption value. Because the bond is for 2 years. Redemption value. The question says the bond will be redeemed at 8% premium. In this case, calculate 8% of nominal value. What is the 8% of 1,000? Please compute 8% of 1,000.
80.
That is 80 naira. You now add 80 naira back to the face value. That will give us how much?
1,080.
1,080. You can do it straight like this. 1.08. Multiply 1,000 by 1.08. That will give you 1,080. This is the redemption value. You can either do it the elementary way. First of all, compute 8% premium and add back to the face value. Or you can also do the fast approach. When we say 8% premium, that means you are going to add 8% to 100%. That will give you 108%. You can convert that percentage, 108% to ratio. In ratio form, that will give you 1.08. You can now use this to multiply the 1,000. Is that clear, please? Now you observe that in year 2, we have 2 cash flows. Is that not? Look at year 2. We have annual interest, 100. We also have redemption value, 1,080. You can add these two together. That means in year 2, you can add these two together. That will give you 1,180. Interest 100 naira plus redemption value 1,080. That will give me 1,180. Any question to this, please? We have calculated the future cash flows of bond A. Any question, please? Now we move to bond B. Let us get the future cash flow of bond B. We come here, bond B. Let's itemize the future of bond B. Futures of bond B. We have maturity. Maturity is 3 years. The coupon rate for bond B is 12%. The face value of bond B, that is the nominal value, is also 1,000. Redemption value of bond B. The question says the bond should be redeemed at par. Redemption value at par. These are the futures of bond B. Then you can now go to the future cash flows. Working 2. Future cash flows of bond B. Future cash flows of bond B. We have annual interest. The interest Remember, interest is calculated on face value. In this case, 12% of 1,000 multiplied by 1,000. This will give me 120. Again, interest in year 2 is equal to 12%. This is year 1 of 1,000. This is 120, year 2. Interest in year 3, this is equal to 12% of 1,000. This is 120. This is year 3. Of course, this bond is for 3 years. We now move to the redemption value. Redemption value. This is equal to 100. So 1,000 in year 3. You observe that in year 3, we have 2 cash flow. At maturity, you are going to have 2 cash flows. I have 1,000 and 120. I can collapse these two together. I can sum these two to get 1,120. So we have gotten the cash flow for the 2 bonds. We have gotten the cash flows for the 2 bonds. What next? We need to get the bond yield. We need to get the bond yield now, because we require the bond yield to discount the cash flow to their present value. Now, the question says, permit me to go to the question, please. It's my pause. Please look at this. The annual spot yield curve for government bond. At the start, the question says Casaure Limited has a cash surplus of 20 million, which the finance manager is keen to invest in corporate bond. He has identified 2 potential investment opportunities in 2 different companies. That means bond A and bond B are corporate bond, companies bond. Both bonds are rated A. That means I'm required to value corporate bond, but I'm giving annual spot yield curve for government bond. This rate can only be used to value government bond. But what I have at hand is valuation of corporate bond. Then we need to adjust the spot rate, the government spot rate, with the credit spread of a corporate company. Now, these corporate companies are both rated A. I will now go to this credit spread. Look at the credit spread, please. Oh, no. Look at the credit spread in basis points. We are giving for AA, triple A's, double A, and I have single A. I'm going to take just single A credit spread because the two companies are rated A. So I require the credit spread of A-rated company to adjust the government spot yield curve given to me. All right. We move to board 2 or whiteboard 2. I've shared the second board, the second whiteboard. If you cannot see it, please speak out. I will now come here. We want to calculate corporate bond yield. You start with your year. We have year 1, year 2, year 3. You pick the government spot yield curve. For year 1, if you look at the rate for year 1 is 9.5%. For year 2 is 10.4%. Year 3 is 10.5%. This is given to us in the question. You now introduce credit spread. Credit spread. The credit spread I'm going to take is for A. Now, please go to the question. What is the credit spread for A? To convert basis point to percentage, you are going to divide the basis point by 100. To convert basis point to percentage, you are going to divide the basis was 100. So the first one was 20. 20 divided by 100, that will give us 0.2%. Second one was 30. Divided by 100, that will give me 0.3%. Then the last one was 50. 50 basis point divided by 100, that will give me 0.5%. We have converted the basis point to percentage. You now solve. 9.5 plus 0.2. This is 9.7%. This is 10.7%. And this is 11%. You have gotten the corporate bond yield. Next, because you need to discount to present value, then calculate the discount factor. Please get your calculator close by. Discount factor. Please compute. Look at the working place. For the first one, that becomes 1 plus, the formula is 1 plus r raised to power 1 plus r raised to power minus n. So for the first one, it becomes 1 plus 0.097. Close the brackets, raised to power minus 1. Please compute and give us the discount factor for year 1. For year 2, it becomes 1 plus 0.0107 raised to power minus 2. Please supply the answer. For year 3 is 1 plus 0.11 raised to power minus 3. Yes, 0 points. Oh, I expect that we are getting this. This can be part of the class. Who is supplying this figure for us?
0.9114.
911. Is that correct? Oh, class down.
Zero 0.979.
This is 0.192. What do you have here?
979.
979. That's not correct now.
Sorry, sir. The year 2 should be 0.107, not 0.0107.
But I got 0.99 for the first one.
Okay. This should be 10%.
Yes.
Okay. X bar minus 2. This should be 0.816. And year 3 should be 1 plus 0.11 raised to power minus 3. This should be 0.731. We have gotten the discount factor. We can now calculate issue price. Theoretical issue price. Theoretical issue price. We have year 1 and year 2. Go to the first page you have before. Pick the cash flow of bond. The cash flow of bond A. Look at it, please. I have 100 in year 1. Year 2, I have 1,080. I'll come here. Cash flow here. I have 100, 1,180. My discount factor for year 2, 0.192. For year 1, 0.192. For year 2, 0.816. My present value, please. Cash flow multiplied by the discount factor, 91.2. Then the second one, please multiply. What do we have? What's the present value?
$963.
0.88.
Yeah, 962.88.
Please compute your final value. 1054.08. Is that clear, please? Examiner says to the nearest naira. Nearest naira. Nearest naira. This will give me 1,054. That is the issue price of bond A. We can move to bond B. Theoretical issue price of bond B. Pick your year. Year 1, year 2, year 3. Pick your cash flow. Go to bond B, please. Look at the cash flow. In year 1, 120. Year 2, 120. Year 3, I have 2 cash flow. 120 plus 1,000. I can come here. I have 120, 120, 1,120. Pick your discount factor. For year 1, 0.912. For year 2, 0.816. For year 3, 0.731. Please get your present value. 120 multiplied by
109.44.
109.44. Thank you. Next. Somebody should take the third one. Somebody should take the second one to make it faster.
Second one, 97.92.
97.92. Finally,
818.72.
818 point what, please?
72.
72. Yeah. Now, please sum up. What do you have? 1026.
Yeah.
0.08. You can take it to the nearest naira. We have gotten the issue prices. We have gotten the issue price of bond A. We have gotten the issue price of bond B. Any question, please? Also in requirement B, examiner says, look at it, please. Calculate the theoretical issue prices of the two bonds and indicate how many of each of the bond Kasaure Limited can buy, assuming it invests only in one. Now look at it, please. Kasaure Limited has a cash surplus of 20 million. That means Kasaure has 20 million, which the finance manager is keen to invest in bond. Now, the question says, how many can we buy? For bond A, the price of one bond is 1,054 naira. If you have 20 million naira, how many bonds can you buy?
15,000.
For bond A, the price of one bond is 1,054. If you have gotten 20 million, how many bond A can you buy?
15,975.
The class is silent.
18,975.
Thank you. For bond A, Kasaure can buy, at it, 20 million divided by 1,054. It can buy 18,975
5.
bond. Thank you. For bond B, Kasaure can buy 20 million divided by the issue price of bond B, 1026. How many can we buy here?
19,493.
4,931. We have completed question A. We have completed question A. Let us look at requirement B. Let us look at requirement B. Examiner says, irrespective of your answer in A, Assume bond A is issued at 1,054 and bond B is issued at 1,026. Okay, but examiner say irrespective of your answer, assume the issue price of bond A is 1,054, bond B is 126. 1,026. Calculate the yield to maturity of the bond at the time of issue. Remember, yield to maturity is the internal rate of return of the cash flows associated with the bond and is calculated from the time the bond is issued. That is from year 0. How do we compute internal rate of return? One that will give us positive NPV and one that will give us negative NPV. Let's move to this quickly in view of time. Please, can you see my new screen being shared?
Yes, sir.
Great. We come here. Requirement B. B. Want to calculate yield. Please, I want to shorten this YTM. Yield to maturity of bond A. You are going to have your year. You have your cash flow. You are going to have year 0 now. Year 1, year 2. Bond B is just for 2 years. Your year 0 is the issue price. That is when the bond will be issued. That is the price of the bond now. Please let me add one more thing to make it clearer. I want to add one more point here, one more item. Even though I'm trying to be fast with the time. Let's put item. We have issue price. Issue price. We have annual interest. Then we have annual interest plus redemption value. Then my cash flow. The issue price of bond B is 1,050. Please, this will be in brackets. This is the price at which we can buy one bond. If you are making investment, year 0 is an outflow. That is the initial price of the bond. Year 1, we are going to get interest of 100 naira. Year 2, we are going to get interest and redemption value, totaling 1,180. When I come here, discount. You are going to assume a discount rate. Please assume a rate now. You want to calculate internal rate of return of this cash flows. Please assume a rate.
10%.
10%, okay? 10%. At 10%, and this will give me 1. 10% year 1, 0.909. 10% year 2, 0.826. Now get the present value, please. 1054 in bracket 90.9. Please multiply 0.826 multiplied by 1080. 1180.
974.68.
974.68. Now get your present value at 10%. That will give us
829.68.
how much?
11.58.
11.58 positive, is that not?
Yes.
Positive. Good. At 10%, we have positive MPV. That means what am I going to do if I want to achieve negative? What am I going to do if I want to get negative MPV?
Use a higher rate.
We are going to take higher rates. What should we take?
15%.
Let's look at 15%. Second discount factor, 15%. In year 1, in year 0, this is 1. This will give us 0.870. This will give us 0.75. I'm not sure of this. Is it 56?
$756.
756. Okay. Please get your present value at 15%. This is 0.1050 negative. This is 87.0. Please multiply 0.756 multiplied by 1180. What do you have, please?
892.08.
Please get the MPV.
Minus 74.92.
Minus 74.92. We can now get the internal rate of return. Our YTM is equal to lower discount rate plus positive MPV over positive MPV plus 74.92 multiplied by, open a bracket, 15 minus 10. What is the YTM of bond A? Final answer? YTM of bond A will give you 10.67%. The YTM of bond A, if you work that out, will give you 10.67%. Is that clear, please? Is that confirmed?
Yes, sir.
We move to the YTM of bond B. Please confirm you can see my new whiteboard.
You can see it.
Confirmed.
Okay, let's move to it straight. What happened? Yield to maturity of bond B. Of bond B. You have your year 0, year 1, year 2, year 3. I have my item, issue price, annual interest, I'm putting these items so that to enhance understanding. Once you understand it, it's not a more to put it to. Then annual interest plus redemption value. I'll now take my cash flow. The issue price of bond B is 1,026. That will be in brackets. Annual interest in year 1, 120. 120. Then year 3, 1,120. You come here, discount. We can assume 10 also. We can start with 10. At 10%, this will give me 0.909. This will give me 0.826. This is 0.751. Please, can we supply the present value? This is 1026 negative. Please, can we supply these figures?
109.08.
109.08. Next. What should I have taken? What do you have, please?
99.12.
99.12. Then lastly,
841.12.
841.12. Please get the MPV.
$23.32.
23.32. Thank you. Positive.
Yes.
23.32. At 10%, we have positive MPV. I need to increase the cost. We can go to 15 also. This will give me 0.870, 756, 0. What here? 8 watts. 0.6 watts.
658.
658. Then get your present value. This is 1026.
104. Yeah.
Next.
104.
Year one.
104.4.
104.12.
0.4.
Or 0.4.
Yes.
104.4. Year two, how much?
$90.72.
The line is breaking.
$90.72.
90.72. This will give us 736.96. Please get the MPV out.
Minus 93.92.
Negative 93.92. 0.92. Then the YTM of bond is equal to 23.32 over 23.3 plus 93.92 multiplied by, open a bracket, 15 minus 10. Please work this out. Your final answer will give you 10.99%. You are done with requirement B. You have just 5 minutes to round out the class. Any questions so far? Requirements. Examiner says calculate duration of each bond. There are like 2 steps involved here. To calculate duration, you have like 2 steps. First is calculate the bond yield to maturity. We have done that. Second is use the bond yield to maturity to discount the cash flow from the bond. Let us take, at least let us do for A. If once I do for A, you can do for B yourself. All things being equal. Please confirm you can see my whiteboard being shared.
Confirmed.
Yes, let's do duration of bond A. I'll just, this is my C part. duration of bond A. You have like two steps of bond A. The first step is to calculate the YTM. We have done that. The YTM of bond A is 10.67. Second step, use the YTM calculated to discount the cash flow from the bond. Now come here, open a schedule, have the year. Bond A is just for 2 years. Of course, when you are calculating duration, we don't require year zero. Pick your cash flow for bond A. You have, in year 1, you have 100. Year 2, you have 1,180. Now, our discount factor is now the bond yield. The bond yield is 10.67%. Now, calculate the discount at 10.67%. The discount factor at 10.7%, year 1. This will give me
0.04.
0. Where is the cost? So I need to move out. 0.904. For year 2 is 0.816. Now, please get it. 100 multiplied by, that is 90.4. 0, next one. This will give me 96.88. Then the last column, get your present value multiplied by n. Let's multiply. Our n is our year. Please look at this, please. 1 multiplied by the present value. 1 multiplied by the corresponding present value. This will give me 90.4. Now, in year 2, n is 2 years. 2 multiplied by the corresponding present value. Please multiply. That will give us 1925.76. Now you can sum. Sum the present value, also sum present value multiplied by n.
Present value multiplied by n, 2016.16.
2016.16.
Present value 105.105.3.28.
105.
3.28.
Yeah, that's correct. Come here. 1053.8.
28.
No, 28.
Yes.
Your duration is equal to. Duration is equal to, look at it. Summation present value multiplied by n all over summation present value. This is equal to 2016.16 divided by 1053.28. Final answer
1.9.
1.91. All right. We are going to, that is the yield to maturity of bond. Oh, 1.91 years. Please, let us calculate, because I have to stop here. Let us calculate the yield to the duration of bond B. I want to believe that we can compute that on our own. All right, may God give us a better understanding. Any question, please? So you are going to, for bond B, you are going to take the YTM of bond B, 10.99. You are going to use it to discount the cash flow from bond B. Then you now calculate like this and get your duration for bond B. All right. Any question?